good morning, everyone. We've begun the presentation. We're recording. This is an FYI for everyone. I have two screens up, so if you see me looking side to side, that's why. But thank you, everyone, for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. We have a ton of great content for you during our New Homes for Houston Virtual Homebuyer Fair. Again, this is being recorded, and we're going to go in and get started because we've got a ton of great information for you. So as we get started, a couple of housekeeping items, and this will help make everything go a lot smoother. Again, I just want to make sure you all know that this is being recorded, and so we are going to send this out to everyone afterwards. Please mute your microphone as you're joining us, okay? So everyone that's joining us, we have a lot of people that registered, over 400 folks registered today. So mute your microphone as you come in, so that way we can all hear the presentation. And also, as we're going through our presentation, please use the chat box to answer your questions. We have a ton of subject matter experts on the line with us today during this webinar, and they'll be able to answer your questions in real time as you're going forward. We are going to have time for Q&A during our presentation, both in the middle and at the end. But go ahead and put those questions as they come up in the chat, and they'll get people will respond to them as we move forward. So as I mentioned, we have a packed agenda. We're going to start with a little bit of introductions from ourselves at the city and from our partner, Avenue. And then they're going to go through some really great information that will help you on your homebuyer journey, depending, no matter where you are in that stage. Then we'll talk about the city's New Home for Houston initiative. We'll follow that up by telling you how you could qualify for the homebuyer process and learn how to apply, all the steps you need to do that, and then provide you at the very end some additional resources that can help you, regardless if you're applying for our programming today or different programs or just the homebuyer journey. So again, a ton of great content for y'all. So this is introductions. My name is Jeremiah Rivera. I'm a community outreach coordinator for the department for the HCD, which is the Housing and Community Development Department for the City of Houston. And so when you registered for this webinar, we asked you all a couple of different questions. Why do you want to be a homeowner? We ask you these questions because it helps us design programs. It helps us put these webinars together. And overwhelmingly, what we heard from you all was you're doing this for your children. That was the overwhelming sentiment we were hearing from you about why you want to become a homeowner. Tied to that was building generational wealth. So some of you are thinking about helping families in terms of passing on an asset. But in terms of helping your children, you're thinking about stability for where they live, access to certain schools. You wanted to provide them a home experience that you didn't have necessarily growing up. So a lot of inspirational comments about and aspirational comments about passing something on to your children. Directly related, number two on that was something to call my own. A lot of funny comments about y'all are tired of paying rent. That came up a lot, often in kind of combination with some of these other comments. And then also, this is part of your vision for your own path toward the American dream, right? Everyone's vision of the American dream is different, but a lot of you tie home ownership to that. So if you're joining us just now, please go ahead and mute your microphone, please. So someone has their mic live that just joined us. If you could please mute yourself. We also asked you, what's the most important thing you're looking for in a home? And one of the things, which wasn't surprising, the thing that came up on top was price. If you can't afford the home, you can't move into it, right? But also you're looking for very specific neighborhoods. So that was something that was important to you, as well as bedroom count and that proximity to work and school. A lot of y'all in backyards. You all want to be kind of like the place where the family gathers for events and holidays. So a lot of y'all mentioning barbecuing in your own backyard. And that brings us to why we're all here today. We also asked you, what's your biggest barrier towards home ownership? And we ask you these questions again because we do try to take your feedback into account when we design programs like this. You'll see that again, sales price directly tied to that. If you can't afford the home, you can't buy it. Directly related to that, but not exactly the same as being able to save for down payment assistance. So even if you're paying rent, that would be comparable to a mortgage. You're telling us you weren't able to set aside enough money to get that down payment you need for a home. A lot of you are also concerned about your credit scores, and tied to that, especially for younger folks or folks my age, I'm not quite young anymore, was student loans and how student loans impacts you. Another thing that you all mentioned that isn't here on this particular slide on this graphic is you mentioned just the home buyer process and not knowing where to start. It's an overwhelming process. You have to get a lot of partners involved that you necessarily would not necessarily have met before in the past, realtors, lenders, title companies. There's a lot to keep track of, and we acknowledge that. So one of the things we're doing as we move forward on these new Homes for Houston virtual webinars is we're going to bring knowledgeable partners that can help provide you information on your home buyer journey. They won't be able to give you all that information today, but they can get you started and point you in the right direction. So we're excited to have our partner today. I'm going to hand the mic over to them. A great nonprofit here in this, based in Houston, Avenue, formerly Avenue CDC, but now just going by Avenue. They're going to come on here and talk about the services they provide that will help you on that home buyer journey. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, take myself off the webcam, and I hand it over to them.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And we want to welcome everybody and really thank you all for attending today and really giving us your time and attention. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about how to become mortgage ready. My name is Angela Guerrero, and I'm the manager of Realty Services here at Avenue CDC. And we have here along with us is one of our star players, Ms. Victoria Garcia, who's a HUD certified counselor. And so someone who, if you take the class with us, or if you have general questions, will be one of your go-to people. And so just a little bit background about Avenue. We'll talk, as you can see on the screen, you'll see our mission and vision, and it's really just to empower people and to help invest in people, homes, and communities to advance equity. And so Avenue is a HUD certified housing counseling agency. And so we do quite a bit of different things at Avenue, but what we're going to really focus on today is home buyer education and getting you ready for what you're on the presentation or what you're joining us here for today. And so getting you ready to purchase your first home. And so we do, like I mentioned, home buyer education in English and in Spanish. It's the 8-hour HUD approved course, which is what you will need for most down payment assistance programs. It's a very important requirement that you have to meet. We also do pre-purchase and post-purchase things that, you know, we're not going to go through today. We have a limited time, 20 minutes, but we do want to focus on education. And so I think kind of what we're going to really dive into, and something that I hear from clients that talk to me who are interested in buying their first home, is whether I should rent, continue to rent, or dive into purchasing my first home. And so I know you guys highlighted it a lot in your questionnaire, you know, thinking about high rental prices, yes, and then also, you know, the desire to own a home and to really provide for the future, provide for your family, and leave them something that's will be valuable and build that generational wealth. And so we'll talk about that today. And so the next slide is like, are you ready to buy a home? And so we'll get into that. We want to make sure that, you know, you understand the difference between, you know, a pre-approval and mortgage readiness. And so that's what we'll discuss.
Absolutely. And Angela, when we ask ourselves, are we ready to buy a house? Sometimes we're emotionally ready, but we're not there yet in the sense of mortgage readiness. And sometimes we're there mortgage ready, but emotionally we're not ready, right? It's a really scary step. Again, I'm Victoria Garcia. I'm a certified housing counselor here with Avenue, and I'm super excited to be part of working with the City of Houston on really preparing individuals for moving forward in the purchases and hopefully one of the City of Houston new construction homes.
Avenue team, I think you might have disconnected. There was some static there. We're gonna wait a second for them to come back on.
Okay, we'll try that. Maybe it's that one mic. I'm so sorry about that, but thank you for your patience. You've got to love technology, right? But let's just jump right back in there. It's like home buying. You never know what to expect. So when we think of those 4 key areas in buying a home, we want to think of debt, income, savings, and credit. So if anything else you learn, write those things down. It takes you not only through the home ownership upcoming process, but as a homeowner as well. These are items that were, or stages in your life that you need to keep in order. Debt, income, savings, credit. It's what we teach in our 8-hour homebuyer education course. And it's also very important that we follow through with a mortgage readiness appointment. So let's talk about debt, income, savings, and credit. Not so much in that order. Let's kind of talk about, like, if we're working with a lender, let's talk about your income. So before you buy a house, we have to have that income, right? So along with income comes employment. And so you've got to be employed. We need 24 months of income, established, not a lot of job changes. Sometimes lenders are a little bit flexible on some things, but always think I need that stable income. Very, very important to have that income. Income is also important to know exactly how much you make. Those that make variable income get bonuses, get commissions, overtime. It's important to know, what is my base income? What is my solid income for 24 months? And why do we need to know that? Because that's how the lender's going to calculate what's called an affordability range. And moving on with affordability, that's where that lender talks about calculations in front-end ratio and back-end ratio. And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. But just know there is an actual affordability range when it comes to working with a lender. Now let's talk about debt. Sometimes we think of debt as only, what are my current bills right now? What is really my debt? Your debt are things on your credit, in your credit report. Credit cards. I know one of the concerns was student loans. A percentage of student loans is even calculated in your debt, even if those loans have been deferred or are going to be forgiven in the future. Know that a percentage of those are included in your debt. So just know that your debt for your housing ratio can really only total about 43 to 45% of your gross monthly income. But when you're working with programs, some programs have their own debt to income ratios. And that's really important to know how much you make, what is your stable base income, so that you understand how to calculate that. Because one struggle we see with individuals is they'll go out and say, I'm going to find me a real estate agent, and then I'm going to apply for a loan, and you get denied and you don't know why. So then you have that hard hit on your credit. So when you know these things in advance, it helps us better prepare to work with the lender. So know that there's also that debt ratio we've got to consider. Let's talk a little bit about credit, because why? Credit scores was another one of those items that there was a concern for on some of the feedback with the city when you filled out your registration. So let's talk about that. So credit scores are important. Why? We need a minimum credit score in order to be able to get that loan. So sometimes we have a misconception of understanding that all lenders work with 580 credit scores with FHA, and that's not the case. Even though FHA allows as low as a 580, doesn't mean that all lenders work with FHA or 580 credit scores. So it's important to know where you are. So here's the thing about credit scores. Certain loans, whether conventional, FHA, VA, they all have their minimum credit score requirements, but so do lenders do based off their loan products. And again, that's why it's important to do your homework in advance to know before you apply with that lender. Another important part of your credit scores is understanding that credit scores also is connected to your interest rate. A lot of people, right, Angela, don't connect that credit score with that interest rate. So here's something important to remember. The higher the credit score, the lower the interest rate, based on market rate, of course, right? Or if you have a really low credit score, then that means you may pay a higher interest rate when working with the lender. And again, it starts at where that market rate. Sometimes when we're working, Angela and I both working with clients, especially when those interest rates hit those historic lows, right? And in those historic lows, we would have several individuals that would say, great, I'm going to get that 2.8% or 3% or 3.5%. But if your credit score is very low, then those interest rates are going to be a little bit higher for you. So there's a way that credit scores impacts multiple part of this loans. And so it's important to know about your credit. And then let's talk about savings. So this is a big one. And so we're going to chat really in depth about savings, because why? Another one of the concerns that we noted down that was that the city collected during the feedback at registration is, do I have enough for the down payment? And so the down payment, yes, there are down payment assistance programs, but there are also other fees that come with that. So know with your savings, it's important to know savings isn't just about having the down payment. Lenders like to see or prefer to see cash reserves. That means a little bit of money in the bank. So kind of think of yourself as a lender, right? And you're lending these large amounts of money for a big home purchase. And someone closes the loan on a Wednesday, but by Thursday, they have $0 in the bank, right? And when you have $0 in the bank the next day after closing, any emergency, I mean, I know I was a family of 5 when my kids were little, right? Things happen. You have cars and flat tires and kids get sick and things come up, or a maintenance issue. So those things will happen, and having that cash reserves reassures that lender that you can handle those emergencies and can still make your mortgage payment, right? And so sometimes savings is thought of having a lot of money in the bank, but it could just be a couple of months of cash reserves, enough money to cover some of our other expenses for the home purchase and other things that come up. So having some savings is definitely beneficial when moving forward in the home purchase. So Angela, tell us, what is one of the biggest challenges, or one of the challenges you really see when you start off working with one of the new homeowners? Oh, you got to do the mic. We're going to pass it over. I'm sorry about that.
No, and so one of the biggest challenges that we see clients facing is having enough funds for the different things. And so, yes, you are here today to learn a little bit about how to purchase, and maybe using the, City of Houston down payment assistance funds, or even some lender credits. But you also still have to think about the other pockets of money, or like the upfront costs or even closing costs.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Angela. As a realtor, I'm sure when you talk to clients in your time that you have with clients, even though you're not a buyer's agent, we do hear a lot about the upfront. So let's talk about what are some of those costs. How much money do I need to buy a house, right? So I want another one of those great things to write down. So we learned one thing already: debt, income, savings, credit. Write that down. DISC. Put that in your head. It's like a little cheer. DISC. I do this at the class. It's a little silly. DISC. DISC. Debt, income, savings, credit. So now let's get the next thing kind of engraved in our brain. How much money do we need? Well, we need 3 pockets of money, or kind of visually. I'm a visual person, so I love the little bags of money. I need 3 little bags of money, or pockets of money, to buy a house. And those 3 things are your upfront expenses, right? You need those right in the bank right when you get started. So you get your pre-approval from the lender, you have a realtor, you go out, you find a house, and the first thing you do is you make an offer, and that offer is accepted. And when that offer is accepted, there's now a path of things that need to be taken care of, and those are called upfront expenses. And so just know that those funds need to be ready to go in the bank. And we're going to talk about those. We're going to focus on those here in just a moment. The second pocket of money you need is your down payment. You've got to have a down payment. That is what is the lender requires you to have in order to purchase the home. Here's an important thing to remember, or something very helpful. Your down payment impacts the principal balance. So I'm going to give you a fast example. If you buy a house for $200,000 and you put $10,000 down, that means your loan amount is going to be about $190,000. So the down payment impacts your loan amount and your principal balance. The third pocket of money that you're going to need as you move forward in this home purchase is your closing cost. Your closing costs are all the fees associated with the loans. And I promise you, there are a ton of fees, right? Too many to list right now. But your fees, again, are part of your closing costs. Now, how does down payment assistance help you? And how do programs like the City of Houston program help? Well, many down payment assistance programs, the first thing they do is they focus on the down payment, but they don't all cover the closing costs. Some of them do, some of them don't. But you want to be prepared going back to that savings. You want to have a little extra cash in the bank to cover any fees that are associated with the loan that a program may not cover. Okay, so closing costs do not impact the principal balance of the loan. Okay, so very important to distinguish those two differences. Down payment impacts the balance, right? Or the principal balance when you close that loan, and closing costs do not. It doesn't reduce your balance, okay? So let's go back to upfront, because that's the one we really want to focus on today. I don't know of any down payment assistance program. I'm not sure if you do, Angela, but I don't believe there's any down payment assistance program that covers your upfront expenses. Your upfront expenses are your earnest money, on an average, 1% of the purchase price. Now, there may be programs out there that may alter that just a little bit, but for the most part, always think 1% of the purchase price. I always say this when planning your savings for a home purchase. It's better to have too much money than not enough, right? You don't want to get all the way through the process of the home buying process, come about 3 weeks before closing, and the lender says, oh, but we still need this on your cash to close, meaning how much money you need to bring to the table. So always have a little extra money hanging around in there. So your upfront cost, 1% of the purchase price on an average. So another example, if you're buying a house for $200,000, you need at least $2,000 for your earnest money. Your option fee is the option to terminate the contract. And that alone will be somewhere around $200. Can it average? Sometimes. I've seen some individuals about $150, $250. It just depends. But always plan for about $200 to $250 in there in your savings. Then there's the home inspection. We always encourage a home inspection. And City may not like this. I apologize when I say this because you're promoting new construction homes. But I even say, or we all say in our home buyer education, when you are purchasing even a new construction home, still get that home inspected. Why? What are new home construction built by? They're built by humans, and mistakes happen and errors happen, and protect yourself. Even if there's a warranty, it really helps you understand everything about that house, and an inspection report is so valuable in your home purchase. So inspections can range anywhere around $450, $500, $550. It depends on several things: location, who you use, square footage, pier and beam, on concrete foundation. So there are multiple factors that impact our home inspection costs, but we always encourage a home inspection. And then we have additional inspections that can be done, especially if you're looking for a home that may be a little bit older. Not so much in our new construction, but just know your mold inspection and what's called a WDI, wood damaging insect. That's mostly known as termite inspection, but a termite inspector actually looks for other things, such as beetles, any wood damaging insects that can damage that property. So I don't want to really talk too much about this because you can learn it in your homebuyer education course, but this is such an important piece when you're working on, am I mortgage ready? Do I have these funds available? Do I have enough for the upfront, the down payment and closing costs? So even if you're working with the program, you definitely need your upfront. You want to have a little bit of extra in there for your closing costs, and then anything you might need to help along the way. So, Angela, tell us, I know, how do we get to home ownership when we think about this, right? I know we think, oh my gosh, Victoria, you just talked about all these things. So what do we need to do? We really need to, yeah, great, next slide, is we need to create a plan, right, Angela? We need a plan. When you're buying a house, you got to have a plan. You can't just jump in there. You got to know what your next steps are. So let's talk about what that plan is, or what could that plan look like for you, right? So that plan could be, and if we could move back to the creating a plan. Oh, one more. There we go, perfect. So you got to create a plan. What is your goal? So you've got to look at what your goal is, right, Angela? What is the goal? So when we evaluate debt, income, savings, and credit, do I need to pay down debt? What are my ratios? Do I have too much debt? Do I need to improve my credit score because maybe I want a better interest rate, or I need to increase it a little bit in order to qualify for the loan? Or do I need to save more because now we learned today I need to have a little bit more savings for our upfront, right? Or maybe I just started a job, I didn't work for 6 or 9 months, but I've been solid at my employer for 6 months. Now my plan is I need to really stabilize and increase my employment. So what is your goal? What do you need to do? Once you evaluate that goal, the next thing you need to do is, here's the third thing I want you to write down if you're writing anything down. So we learned about debt, income, savings, credit, right? We learned about the 3 pockets of money: up front, down payment, and closing costs. Here's the third thing I really want you to take away today, is you've got to assess gross versus net in affordability. This is something no one talks about. Gross affordability is how the lender qualifies you. They base it off your gross income versus what debts you have. What can you afford? What are your ratios? But true affordability lies within your net income and your budget. So I teach this in my classes. I say this in our mortgage readiness counseling, is true affordability lies within our net income after our budget's created, okay? Your net income, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a wage earner, right? And so we have taxes taken out, we have insurance, health insurance, sometimes 401, and sometimes other things that we have taken out of our check, right? And your net income is how you're going to pay the mortgage. And that's why we have to know what is our net and what are our living expenses and our debt expenses. Your lender's not looking at your car insurance, cell phone bills, kids' lunches, groceries, fuel for your vehicle, emergencies, co-pays, Amazon purchases, right? We don't look at those things. The lender's not looking at that. They look at your gross income and they look at your debt expenses. But again, true affordability lies in the net income after our budget. So you've got to assess my gross affordability. How is the lender going to qualify me? And then what is your net affordability? What can I truly afford every single month? Another thing I like to say at all my classes is, I want you to take your age. Don't put it in the chat, okay? Take your age, and I want you to add 30 years to your age. Hey, I'm honest about my age. I would be 82 if I bought a house today. That means paying a monthly payment every single month for 30 years. And that's a long time. So you really got to look at what's affordable to you. Once you evaluate, what's my goal? I know my debt income savings credit. I know what money I need. I know my next step. I assess my gross versus net affordability. Now it's time to execute the plan, right? You've got to look at that net budget, create the budget. You got to calculate how much you need for your goals. Do you need to pay off debt? Maybe your debt ratios are too high. I work with many clients, and I know Angela has too, that sometimes they're denied not because of credit, not because they don't have enough money, but their debt is too high because they didn't know that maybe student loans were included or that credit card payments were included or whatever the case may be. So you've got to add up. How much do I need to pay down? Do I need to pay down $4,000 of debt? You've got to also look at how much money do I have left over every month? That's what the budget tells us. I have $300 left over after all my bills and expenses. I have $1,000, $300, whatever the case may be. You got to know how much surplus you have, or do you have a deficit? Do you have to find a way to increase what you have left over by cutting back in the budget or saving more, or maybe getting a part-time job on the short term? Once you assess all of that, execute that plan. Now I know I need to pay off this much in debt. I have this much money left over. A little division is going to happen there, and figure out how much time do I need. Here's the great news. With the City of Houston new construction programs, not only do they have homes available today, but they have homes that aren't even available yet. So you have time. And so you have time to work on these goals, figure this out, and get to the next step. So this sounds like a lot, right? You're thinking, I was on a quick lunch break. I didn't know I was going to do this much learning in only an hour or 20 minutes time. So I just want to recap with that. So just remember, debt income savings credit, 3 packs, pockets of money you need, and then you've got to look at gross versus net affordability. And all that can be overwhelming, right, Angela? So even though it's overwhelming, tell us, let's talk about what we can do to help. How can we help here at Avenue?
So we added this slide here because we wanted to, I know you've been learning a lot today, but we kind of wanted to bring something fun to the screen. And so there is, through the mortgage process, it may feel like you're jumping through a bunch of hoops. You have to turn in this document. You have to find, all your check stubs for the last 30 days, 60 days. And we want to make sure that, and also the down payment assistance process sometimes can be quite long. And so we want to make sure that you know that even though this process may be complicated, you do have resources to help you, like organizations like Avenue, where it doesn't matter where you are in the process.
The next slide, please.
Yes. Oh, next slide. Where it doesn't matter where you are in the process at the beginning, where you're just thinking about purchasing, or maybe working on your credit, or maybe even towards the end where you've already gotten a contract in, but you want someone to look at your closing disclosure and help you understand what those fees look like at the end. And so those are times that our Avenue will be happy to help you and kind of guide you through that process, help answer your questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Angela. And Angela's correct. It doesn't matter where you are in the home buying process. We work with individuals that are working in the very beginning. Like, I just signed a new lease. My rent went up. I hear this a lot. Very, very common. I just signed a new lease and my rent just went up $200, $300. I could buy a house for this amount, right? But I'm in a lease now. It doesn't matter where you are. In the beginning, if you're right before closing, I just worked with a client, I want to say last week, that was about 2 weeks before closing and didn't realize how much cash they needed to come to the end with, and then signed up for the counseling to say, help me understand this process. That's what we do at Avenue. So let's talk about how Avenue can support you. So there's several ways, but where does it start? So it starts with the Homebuyer Education course. It's a HUD certified Homebuyer Education course. It is 8 hours, just so you'll know. HUD required 8 hours, not Avenue, but it is an 8-hour course. So you can register to take that course. We have different ways that you can do that. You can do it virtually, which means kind of like this, except through via Zoom. We do those on Saturdays and sometimes on Wednesdays. You can actually take it online through eHome, which is at your own pace. You can log in, log out, whatever is convenient for you. Or you can come out in person. We do limited in person, but we do in person. Someone like me, I like the in person. I want to ask questions. I want to meet people. I want to be able to talk to the presenter that's doing it, but we offer in person. So there's a variety of ways that you can join that class. And so I encourage you to do that. Another reason why you need that Homebuyer Education course, because I don't know of any down payment assistance program that doesn't require the 8-hour class. So at some point, even with the City of Houston program, if you're looking into the new construction homes, at some point you're going to need that Homebuyer Education course. And if you don't take it with us, then I know there are other opportunities for you, but just know you've got to take a HUD certified course, and Avenue does offer that. They're also offered in English and in Spanish, so just know there's opportunities for both. Once you take that class, you're going to get a certificate fairly quickly, in less than 24 hours. You're going to get that HPE certificate. And that certificate allows you to apply for down payment assistance, such as the City of Houston New Construction Program. And so once you have that certificate, it's valid for 12 months. So if you took the class today, it's valid until June the 7th of next year, 2024. So even if you're not really sure where you are yet, maybe I should take the course, go ahead and take it and get out of the way. I promise you, the second time around, I don't know, you ever remember in school or college, if you retook a class, you seem to learn a little bit more, right? And so if you'd like to do that, go ahead and do that and get that certificate and get it in your hands. Because why? What does that certificate also do for you besides applying for down payment assistance? Many lenders, which isn't talked about a whole lot, it's kind of like the hidden secret, right? Many lenders also have internal lender credit programs as well. And lender credit programs, you don't really Google those and find those online, but the lenders will offer an opportunity for you to get additional assistance in lender credits, which could reduce your interest rate. You can buy down points with it sometimes with those funds, or help pay those closing costs. Remember those fees we talked about that's got to probably come out of your pocket? It can help with that. But they almost always require you to have a homebuyer education certificate. What else does that Homebuyer Education certificate get you? It also provides you with an opportunity to schedule with a HUD certified housing counselor. And then one of those would be me. So it would be a really great appointment. I already know I'm a little bit biased, but that mortgage readiness appointment is a one-on-one with a housing counselor. So kind of think of it this way. The Homebuyer Education course, it's kind of a broad range of education. You learn the generic basic information that all new homebuyers should know, right? But you want to know about your situation, your debt, your income, your savings, your credit, your mortgage readiness. And so that one-on-one is all about you. I call it your 1 hour of me time. It's all about your situation and what we could do, all those things we talked about. Remember that image with the hoop and the down payment assistance? How do I do this process? What lender do I apply with? What programs are out there? What do I need to do? Am I mortgage ready? Am I not? We can pull that together for you because we look at debt, income, savings, and credit. We create an action plan with you. So at the end of it, we do a free credit pull. You actually get your FICO 2 credit score so that we can look at where you are in that. And although I'm not a credit counselor, I do work with lenders to understand, or all of our counselors work with mortgage lenders to know what is required from an individual who's applying. And then we also learn that with our HUD test too, a lot about credit. So we pull that credit, soft pull. Avenue's a nonprofit focused on homebuyer education, so there's no impact to your credit report. And with that credit report, we review that together. We look at it and we say, where are you in this process? What work do we need to do in order to get approved with the lender, or maybe get a better loan product for a lower interest rate, which could save you over the course of 30 years. So we review all of that and we help connect you to programs, meaning, hey, I need to save a little bit more. Here's my income, here's my household size. Maybe I qualify for another program like a match savings program. Or maybe I qualify for an additional program and I can layer down payment assistance programs, which is possible. Or I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, we just do so much with that, all within that hour's time. Again, we do an action plan with you, help you set your goals, look at your budget. Who teaches this stuff, right? We don't learn this in high school. We don't learn it in college. And I'm honest, most households don't teach any of this information. We learn some basics, but not enough to really understand about all these programs and what all the lenders requiring from us. So this one-on-one mortgage readiness appointment can really help get you to where you need to be. What is the last way to find out about our resources? Is come to HomeFest. HomeFest is going to have a ton of resources, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to end with this, and we're going to kind of finalize with this last piece. What is a homebuyer education course? That's such an important piece. Homebuyer education, you're going to learn about several things: understanding how to buy a home, managing your money, understanding credit, the process of obtaining a loan with a guest lender presenter. So we'll have an actual lender on there, shopping for a home. And here's the good news: if you register for that class between June and July, wait, let me back up. If you attend our HomeFest event, at that event, only if you come to the event will you get the code to register for the class in June or July at 50% off. You can actually take that class for half the price. So Angela, let's finalize with a little bit about HomeFest.
So we do invite you to join us for HomeFest. City of Houston will be there, and so that they'll be one of our 28 vendors. There we'll have a kids zone, face painting, lots of fun, raffles for you guys. But most importantly, you'll get to come and learn a little bit more about the home buying process, the home ownership process. If you know someone who's already a homeowner, they're invited as well. And so this is a great opportunity to come to a free event and really get that one-on-one, face-to-face questions answered about the process. And so we look forward to having you there. And I do want to thank you again for your time, and then really working with us through these technical difficulties. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed your time with us. But we'll be in the chat answering a lot of questions. So if you have more questions, definitely feel free to ask.
And thank you to the city for having us. We're super excited to be here, share about it, and we hope to see you at HomeFest, and we hope to see you registered with Avenue. Thank you.
All right, thank you to our guests, Angela, Victoria. We appreciate you, and appreciate you also working through those technical difficulties. So everyone, I know we're running a little bit behind. We plan on staying until we get through the presentation. We understand if you have to jump off, we are going to keep the recording going, and we will send that to you when that's ready in the next few business days. But I'm going to go ahead and just power through the rest of this. So from the city's perspective, we have what we're calling the New Homes for Houston initiative. And what that is we're investing $105 million in our neighborhoods through new construction of affordable homes, over 2,000 disaster resilient, energy efficient homes to be exact. These homes, so the way this will work is that we are going to build these homes in over 10 different communities, and these will be mixed income developments. The affordable homes, in exchange for the city's financial investment with our developer partners, they will reserve a portion of those homes for program qualified home buyers. So we're going to talk about what the program actually is. The assistance that you will receive for these new construction homes will be based on where you're at in your home buyer affordability. So the investment isn't a set dollar amount. It's based on where you are at that point in time and the development you're looking into. So we're going to walk through the city's program requirements. Some of our nonprofit and CDC developer partners may have additional program requirements. That's going to be because generally they have brought in additional resources to make the homes they're building even more affordable. And we'll note that under each development. I'm going to walk you through some, we have about 14 different developments. I'm only going to walk you through a few, the ones that are most home buyer ready. And what I mean by that is they're most likely to either be on sale right now or before the end of the year. But before we do that, I wanted to give you a highlight of one of our families that purchased the home. This is the Lewis family, their household of four. And this is a very adaptable program. So they came in with a certain amount of pre-approval letter, but they were able to stack different down payment assistance programs, not just the New Homes for Houston initiative, but 3 additional programs, and essentially help bring down the cost of the home. So they're able to buy a brand new home and receive, in this particular example, more than $60,000 worth of assistance. So each person's homebuyer journey is going to be different. You may not need that much assistance. You may need more, but it's going to take a village. It's going to take your realtor, your lender, these programs, and nonprofit organizations to help walk you through this. But now we're going to go ahead and go through some of these developments. Again, I'm going to be very quickly about this. This isn't all of our developments. At the end of this slide deck, I'll show you the link where you can learn more about each of these. The first we're going to show you is what we're calling Town Park Village. Again, I'm going to power through these. These 4 homes are actually available for sale now. And you'll see my colleague Lakeisha is going to be putting this information in the chat as well. Here you'll see the price range for these homes. With already the city's assistance is baked into this price range, but new construction homes for less than $270,000 here. So these next set of homes, we're using the super neighborhood for some of our branding. So when you see New Homes for Acres Homes, you'll see that the developer that we're going to talk about, they're going to have a different name. But just to give you an idea of where these developments are going to be located. So the New Homes for Acres Homes is actually in partnership with Oracle City Homes. They're building on 3 different sites throughout Acres Homes here. You can see that on the map. They're building over 100 homes, many of which will be set aside as affordable homes for our program. And they're powering through that. So you can see groundbreaking here, and homes are going up really quickly. So you can see some interior shots. Here's some designs. We're going to send these slide decks out to all of y'all with the recording as well. So that's why I'm going to go by pretty quickly on this. Um, the important information you need to know is that the market rate price range for these homes is here. This is going to be before the city's assistance to this program. We're going to talk about how that works again in a few slides. If you don't need the city's program, you can go ahead and buy these homes at this price range on your own, but they're at pre-sale status now. So you can put in an application for the city's New Home for Houston's initiative today. If you want to talk to the developer, their contact information is here. So this is going to be one of our developments that does have additional program requirements. It's in partnership with Agape CDC, New Homes for OST South Union. And here you're going to see different products. So the last development you saw were townhomes throughout Acres Homes. Here you'll see single family detached traditional homes throughout that section of OST South Union, that map I just showed you. So you're going to see that look and style is going to be different. And here, we're not going to go through all the program requirements, but you can see a list of that here. You can contact them to learn more about those program requirements that are addition to the cities. And here you can see the price range is going to be significantly different. Each of these developments stand on their own. In terms of how the assistance works, that's going to be pretty similar. But you'll see different price points. You're going to see different um, uh, different types of homes, townhomes, detached homes. So there's going to be a little bit of everything for everyone, different neighborhoods. So this is a very adaptable program. What we're looking at here, New Homes for Northeast Houston, this is going to be our largest development. It's in partnership with Houston Habitat for Humanity. So earlier you heard we have developments that are starting today and homes that will be available in the future. This is a 127-acre development that just broke ground earlier this year. So this is going to be built out in 5 phases over the next 2 to 3 years. So if you're a home buyer ready now, or will be in the next few months, this is something that you should look into. But if you need more time, if you need a year, if you need even 2 years, there's going to be homes here that will be available for you through this program. And here you can see construction has begun on phase 1. Again, this will be 5 phases. And so those homes are starting to go up pretty quickly. Here's Habitat's additional eligibility requirements. And again, the link to their website will be here at the end, so you can read that in more detail. But here you can see they are going for that price point of right around $200,000. Here's something I do want to mention. For each of these price points, make sure to contact the developer. As you all know, if you're looking for homes, prices do fluctuate. This is only a snapshot in time. So especially if you're watching this later, if you're watching this presentation 2 or 3 months from now, definitely reach out to them if this is the development you're interested in to learn about the price ranges. So this is going to be another development with a different developer in OC South Union, this time with Mayberry Homes. Here you can see the groundbreaking just occurred a few months ago, and they are already building the sidewalks and the streets. Those are moving pretty quickly. And here you're going to see some renderings of what they're calling the Southern Palm development. So this will be 40 townhomes. All of these townhomes will be reserved for our program qualified home buyers. You can see the playground, You can see some renderings of the interior of these homes. Again, these are just renderings, some floor plans, and here you can see their price range. This is what the city's assistance already kind of baked into that. And this is going to be the last development that I show you all today. Again, this is only a snapshot. We'll show you the website soon. This is going to be based in the north side. This is two different developments in the north side, Aaron Park and Fulton Crossing. This is going to be in partnership with City Side Development. This is just some renderings of what Aaron Park will look like. Fulton Crossings floor plans, a rendering of their floor plan of that development as well. And construction's already begun. So they broke ground earlier this year, and homes are going up now. So this is going to be another development where you'll be able to move in before the end of the calendar year and moving forward through 2023. So it's going to be two different sites. The price ranges are going to be different depending on which site because they do have slightly different amenities. So definitely reach out to them if you're interested in a city side homes development in the north side. So I walked you through very quickly, and I apologize, that was very fast. Some of the homes that are coming, some of the neighborhoods where they're being built, and I want to talk to you about how the actual program works. Oh, actually, before we do that, I do want to let you know these developments are coming. I saw a question about Cityscape. These are developments, again, that haven't even begun construction yet. We haven't broken ground. That is that's slated for later this year. So if you're someone that needs to work on your credit score or work on your saving, be employed where you're working a little bit longer, again, we just have a ton of different developments that are coming on the way. On this slide, which we'll send out to you, you can sign up for our homebuyer interest survey. And what that will do is we will email you when we have updates on any individual development that isn't ready for sale today. So that way you will know when those homes go for sale and when we have specific webinars about those developments. So it doesn't have to be for these three. If any of those developments that you saw we haven't broken that aren't selling yet, you're interested in, sign up for updates and we'll let you know when those homes are ready for sale. So now I'm going to talk to you about how to actually apply for our program and how the program works. And again, I see that we're running up on the 12 on the noon hour. We'll stay on as long as we need to answer your questions. So I'm going to power through this kind of quickly. The universal steps for our HCD programs, not just ours. I shouldn't say universal, but for the most part, you're going to have to take, again, that 8-hour HUD homebuyer education course. You need to be dated within the last calendar year, that certificate. If it's older than a year, you will have to take it again. But yes, that's going to be one of our requirements. You will need to be able to get a pre-approval letter from for a fixed rate mortgage from a lender, and you will have to upload that letter to us. And you have to earn up to 120% area median income. Some of our developments will be at 80% area median income. We're going to mark that on the website so that way you know the difference. But we will qualify you up to 120% area median income, or AMI for short. What does that mean? So that is determined yearly by HUD. And so what's really amazing about this program is that many homebuyer assistance programs cap at that 80% column, that middle column there. And that's going to be based off the household size of the folks that are going to be moving into the home. So for example, I lived in a mixed intergenerational household as a kid with my stepdad and his family. There's 8 of us in a 3-bedroom home. When we moved to the home that we moved into, it was my stepdad, my mom, and my sister and I. So for this program, the household that we'd be looking at would be a 4-person household. These figures are set by HUD every year. Most programs cap again at that 80%. We're able to go up to 120% area income for most of our developments. Now, these dollar ranges are actually going to increase June 15th. So for our next webinar, you'll see those updated figures. If you apply today, these are the salary caps we'll be looking at. But again, those will be going up on June 15th by about $3,000 per each range. We'll have those exact figures for you on our website when that gets updated on June 15th and on our next webinar, which will be June 27th. But the way the program works is you will upload those documents. You'll go through the traditional homebuyer process. You'll look for a home, hopefully one of our developments, secure 30-year fixed rate mortgage. If you don't need the city's assistance for this program, you can go ahead and buy one of those homes at market rate prices on your own. However, if you want to use this program to make the homes more affordable, and we'll talk about how that works, you'll upload your program eligibility documents to our website. Most of our homes will have a 4-year secondary lien, and we're going to talk about how that works in a few slides. At the end of the process, with the city's assistance, that home will be made more affordable to you as a program qualified home buyer, and you'll own that home outright um, at the end of that process. There may be a secondary lien for 4 years, but you own the land, you own the home on top of it. You will be a homeowner, okay? So this is how the actual program works. And we're going to walk you through an example. So this is the heartbeat of these few slides. In this example, it's a household of five, a traditional family, two parents, two kids, and one grandparent. The two parents are earning a pretty good income. This is what they're making, and a stay-at-home grandparent. And then the two kids are just going to school. So for the purposes of our calculation, we're going to add that income, again, for a household of five, and they qualify in terms of income eligibility. So they are making less than that $114,000. They'll get a pre-certification letter from us saying you qualify for this program, go in and start shopping for a home. And the way this program works is what we're calling the tax and affordability gap. So this is going to be a very flexible program. The exact assistance is going to be different. Each development has a different, what we're calling a market rate price for a home. That's just the home that it would sell at. But the family in this example is was able to get a pre-approval letter for $250,000. The development they're interested in through our program, the market rate price for a home would normally be $30,000. That means they have an affordability gap of $50,000. That's the difference between the market rate price and the, let me move my hands a little bit, and the pre-approval letter they got. The developer will then work with that family's individual home buyer affordability gap to make that home affordable for them. Okay, so when I say it's different for each family, if this family, for example, is making $270,000, then they would be at $30,000 affordability gap that developer is working with them on. If they're able to, maybe they're at 250, but they're able to get an additional down payment assistance program to work with them, they'd be able to stack that on top of that. So again, there's gonna be a bunch of different pathways for this program to make homes more affordable for you. So let's talk about that secondary lien. The city standard will be a 4-year secondary lien that's tied to that affordability gap. Every year, 25% of it is forgiven. And so in this example, every year, $12,500 is forgiven. At the end of that process, the 4-year secondary lien is completely forgiven. So that's a lot of equity you're gaining in that home. You are not making payments on that unless you have to sell or move out of the home before the end of the 4 years. So again, it's a great way to create that intergenerational wealth that many of y'all are interested in for your children or your grandchildren. So let's talk about debt to income ratio. Avenue already did a great job of talking about that, but that's going to be looking at your debt to income will be your monthly payments divided by your gross monthly income. And if someone's hitting the take presentation button, if you could stop doing that, I would really appreciate it. It keeps taking away the view from everyone. So what that will look like, we'll be taking all of your monthly recurring bills and then dividing that out by the amount of money you're making. Your DTI for this program cannot exceed 45% when you take your theoretical mortgage into account. So we have an example for that. In this example, that family has gone through. This is a different family. They've gone through. They qualify for this program. They found the home they're interested in. Their monthly debt will be $1,500. That's the amount of debt they're bringing in on their monthly payments on their own. The mortgage payment for the home they want to buy is $2,000. So their total debt is recurring debt is $3,500, right? Between the two of them in this example, they're making before taxes $7,808. So you divide the monthly debt, that 3,500, divided by the 7,800, and they qualify because their DTI or debt to income is less than 45%. Now, if you're in a situation where the home you're looking for is, when you do all that math, is over 45%, we can work with you to either maybe send you towards a development that's a little bit more affordable, or maybe you want to spend some, like that's the neighborhood you really want to live in. You really want to live in Acres Homes. You don't want to live in OST South Union or vice versa. You can work on your DTI. You can work on those debts to bring it down. Your letter from us is good for a year. We might have to get some of your documents back to requalify you. But again, this is a flexible program. It's not going to be one path for everyone. This is just an overview of how it works at a high level. So we're winding down. Again, we're going to stay on past noon, but some additional resources that'll be helpful for all of y'all. If you want to learn more about this program, including developments we didn't talk about, because again, we only talked about a few of them, the link to our website is houstontx.gov/housing/homes/new. You can go ahead and click on that now. I'm going to show you what it looks like in a few moments. That interest survey that we talked about earlier, that link for that is here. And if you have any questions for us afterward, you can contact us at newhomebuyer@houstontx.gov. That's going to go for eligibility, questions on construction time, all that stuff. Our next virtual homebuyer fair, so it's going to be similar content to what you just heard, is going to actually be with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, their Houston field office. That's going to be Tuesday, June 27th. So up front, you're going to get to hear about the great resources that the HUD Houston field office has. You can register for that now. Again, we're going to be able to talk about our program again and answer any questions that may have come up in the meantime. But also HUD's going to provide a bunch of great content for you as well. Again, we want to make sure that we're getting you the information you need to become successful in your home buyer journey. So each time we host one of these webinars, we are going to have a different partner up front to talk about different aspects to help you get you there. Speaking of which, one of my colleagues has a what they call the 360 Real-Time Ownership Series. These are webinars that have been recorded. You can go on our YouTube page or the website page to learn more about Credit 101, building your perfect team, and other content like that. So this is something that you can just watch on your own that will also help you on the home buyer journey. And finally, we have our Houston Financial Empowerment Centers. This is a way to get one-on-one counseling that's free to you. It's through the city of Houston. And these are the locations they're built at. They can help you walk through your where you are financially. Reach out to any of these folks if you want to use that service. Again, this will be free to you. One last thing before we go to the website and then answer your questions. This is kind of a side but important issue. This is some fair housing information. Right, I'm not going to go through all these, but the Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968. This is a law created to put an end to discriminatory practices in housing. The act ensures that every person has a right to rent a home, purchase a home, or obtain a mortgage without fear of discrimination due to their membership or perceived membership in a certain class. So this is important information for you. I'm not going to go through all these slides because we're over time. We're going to send the slide deck to you all afterwards. But HCD does have a lot of great information on fair housing and how to, if you're feeling like you've been discriminated against, to get more information on that. You can go to these links. This is our website. You can learn more. You can call our fair housing team and they can answer your questions about that. I'm not the subject matter expert and we're low over time. So I'm going to show you all the website very briefly, and then if you all who are still with us would like to answer, stay on for the Q&A, we're more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you again for sticking with us. I know we had those technical issues, but this is the New Homes for Houston website, and now you see me actually looking straight onto the webcam. So if you, I'm going to scroll through this, and you're going to see here some important information. We walked through all this earlier, the required documents you need to apply for the program. And then down as you scroll here, you're going to see the different developments we have. We have a couple more we haven't put on the website yet that are coming up, but you'll see the super neighborhood they're built in. If we're accepting applications for those developments, if they're ready for pre-sale or for sale, we'll have this now accepting applications status. You can click on that to get to our portal page, or click on learn more up here to get to the portal page. And you can see we got a ton of different developments that we didn't talk about. We have one in 5th Ward, South Park, Central Southwest, 3rd Ward, and a couple more developments that aren't even on this page yet. I saw a couple questions in the chat about Cityscape and Stella Link. Here you can see that's under this program umbrella of New Homes for Houston as well. And then some updated pictures. Here's that interest survey I mentioned to you. If you scroll all the way to the very bottom, this is where we're going to put our prior and future webinars and slide decks. We're going to, like I said, email them to you directly, probably in the next 3 business days. But you can come to this website. All that information will be down here as well. So again, that was me powering through a lot of information. So that brings us to the end of our slides. And now I want to hand it off to Don, my colleague Don Lee. I saw a ton of questions coming through the chat. There's still a lot of y'all here. We want to answer any questions either for Avenue or for the city. Um, Don's going to read through some of the most common questions first and make sure that we're all on the same page that came into the chat. And then we're going to open it up for all questions for anyone who's still with us. So Don, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and read through some of the questions that have been answered through the last hour we've been together?
Thank you, Jeremiah, and thank you everyone for staying on and hanging with us. Again, we apologize for going over time. So a lot of the questions in the chat were previously answered. Some of the most common questions were regarding the 8-hour HUD certification course. And one question in particular was asking if the certification expires, do they have to take the course again? And the answer to that is yes. So your certification for your 8-hour HUD course is good for 12 months from the date that you take the course. And then if it expires, most agencies will have you take that course again, and then you will have to pay whatever fee that they charge you for that. Now, Avenue, if you can confirm with me, because it is based on what agency that you go to. Some agencies will allow you, if you reach out to them, let's say 11 months in from your certificate, and you know that is going to expire and you haven't received or you haven't selected a home yet, some agencies will allow you to do an extension without taking the course again or without paying that $50 again. Avenue, if you're still on the line, if you can confirm with the individuals on the chat, if that's something that you were allowed to do, then I'll let you confirm that.
Absolutely, Don. It is a very great question. And you are correct. It expires in 12 months. And the way we do work is if a client or let's say someone is in the process of about to close, and if it's within the 30 days of the certificate, we will extend that certificate for 30 days. And so let's say your certificate expires and you're closing in a few weeks. Again, as long as it's in 30 days, we will extend that time for that time frame. After the 30 days, then the course does need to be repeated.
Thank you. I thought so, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't speak for your specific agency. And then there was a couple of questions regarding if Cityscape is a part of this program. And if you're questioning regarding Cityscape is a part of the City of Houston program, then that answer is we have several programs. Harvey Single Family Development, which is a new homes for Cityscape, is one of our planned developments in the fall of 2023. The City of Houston has acquired a large tract of land that's going to be at the address of 12606 Cityscape Avenue. That location is near 288 in East Orem. If your question was for Avenue, asking if they are a part of the Cityscape homes, they can assist you with your 8-hour HUD certification course for any of the locations that the City of Houston is and will be building on. One moment. Another common question was, how do you determine your home buying credit score to a regular credit score, and how do you build the two? So your credit score will be reviewed and looked at with your lender, and you do have the choice to select your own lender and realtor to assist you in the home buying process. We do have several questions asking about how to take the HUD certification course. And in the chat, we have that link in there to assist you with clicking on the link. When you select the link, it will allow you the opportunity to put in your address or your zip code so you can find an agency close to you. And again, Avenue is available to also help you with that 8-hour housing counseling course. And I do see Jeremiah is demonstrating that on the screen for you to show you how you can locate an agency. and that link is being placed in the chat several times for you. So you only have to click on that link one time in the chat, and then you can walk through those steps of locating one. Another question is this open to realtors as well? I would love to be there to support new buyers. So with that, the Home Fest is open to realtors, and they did provide the Home Fest link there for you to sign up to register. And then also, if you're questioning about partnering with the City of Houston with your clients, we also provided the link with information of the website page. You will scroll all the way to the very bottom of the page, and that's where you will see the link that realtors and lenders can sign up to get information regarding the program to assist their clients as well. One more moment. Another question is, do you have to pay back that down payment assistance? And the down payment assistance, that question is no. When a city provides assistance for someone to buy a home, we are making an investment for someone to live in the home for the long term. We do require they live in the home for 5 years, secure through a forgivable loan, and then the loan is automatically forgiven at the end of the 5-year residency period. If you do sell your home prior to that 5 years, then you will be responsible for paying back a certain percentage of that down payment assistance based on when you sell the home within that 5 years. And we do have several questions regarding getting copies of the PowerPoint presentation. The full presentation will be available in about 2 business days. And on the same website that Jeremiah is showing at the very bottom, you will see that presentation available down there with the date of today's presentation and today's title. Okay, also there are questions about how to apply for the program. The website that Jeremiah is showing does have the information of how to apply. On the page, you will see the 2 locations that are available that we're taking the applications for currently. Those are highlighted in the green. And then the other locations that are highlighted in the red, we currently are not taking applications for those. But if you fill out the home buyer survey, and that link for the home buyer survey has also been provided in the chat, and it's also on the page that he's showing. You will have the opportunity to select up to 3 locations, letting us know those locations that you're interested in, and we will send you resources about those locations and also update you when the application process has begun for your desired location. We have not selected a developer yet. The developer has not been identified as of today for the Cityscape location. That was a question of who is the developer for Cityscape. And I think those are the majority of the most common questions. Someone is asking, are there going to be homes built in the Katy area? The Katy area is located within Harris County, but not within the city of Houston. The new Homes for Houston program and locations will all be located within the city limits.
Awesome. Thank you
And
for the. Oh, I'm sorry, Don. Go ahead.
that's okay. I was just going to say that I'm going to go ahead and pass it over if you want to start the Q&A now.
Well, I was
And I'm
about to say
sorry,
thank.
I see a question for Richmond. Richmond is also outside of the city of Houston limits. So any of your suburban locations that are not within the central part of the city of Houston will be Harris County and will not be a part of this particular program. I'll pass it over to you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, so all these homes are being developed within the city of Houston city limits. So if it's not under city of Houston limits, it's within, as Don said, Harris County. They have their own single family development programs as well. So I would definitely reach out to them if you're looking to live outside of the city of Houston limits. Right now, at this point, I know we're over time, and thank you so much. There's still, I think, about 8 of y'all with us, so I appreciate y'all going into your lunchtime. Does anyone want to use the use your raise hand icon and unmute yourself to ask any kind of last questions before we adjourn? We want to try to answer everyone's questions while we're still together, for either for ourselves or for Avenue.
Okay, it's my first time ever buying a house, and I don't have income. Only income I have is on disability. Does that help, or do I have to get a job?
I think Avenue, we can kind of maybe tag team that question. Um, I don't have a exact answer for you. I would suggest that you would be best served by talking to a homebuyer counselor. It could be Avenue, it could be a different nonprofit, but they can walk you through your finances and tell you how viable it is, and then they can put together an action plan for you to make your next steps.
Okay,
Avenues,
because
Avenues, or anything
I
to add
live
to
in an
that?
apartment. Uh-huh.
And Jeremiah, if I could piggyback off what you said, that is correct. We can definitely help evaluate. Lenders do accept Social Security benefits and some Social Security disability. So there could be some opportunities for you. And I'm just, again, piggyback off what Jeremiah stated, is that it's best if we meet with a one-on-one mortgage readiness, because we'll evaluate your income and see what programs are out there that you could qualify for.
Thank you.
Bridget,
And
do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I wanted to know, do you have a list of lenders that work with you?
So the city does not have a list of preferred lenders. Um, our developers typically do have their own preferred lenders, and that's up to them to decide who they are. So there's a couple of different. I think what you're asking, if you don't mind me putting words in your mouth, is how to go about finding a lender that you can work with. Um, you can definitely when you take the HUD certified course, you take it through. There's going to be a section on lenders, and most of the nonprofit folks and Avenue, you can jump in here too. Typically have some ideas of who's providing different affordable products, and you can again reach out to the developer and they can tell you who their preferred lenders are. But the city itself does not have a preferred lender list. Avenue, do you want to jump in on that as well?
Oh, absolutely. So again, Jeremiah is correct. There isn't a particular list for the city because they don't have a unique lender list. And so that's what we also teach in our class in our mortgage readiness, the importance of, before you apply with the lender, always ask that question. Do you work with down payment assistance programs? Do you work with the city of Houston? I've had many clients that have applied and gotten pre-approvals and the lenders don't work with programs. So that's a really important part of the process, is to interview your lender and ask those questions in advance, because there's also other programs that do have specific lenders lists. So it's important to ask the lender those questions.
Thank you.
so where can you get a lender? Where can we find this, or how can we start off?
So there's, in addition to the ways we mentioned, so just to kind of talk about that again, to be specific, um, of course, there's always using the internet as kind of and search around for products. You can do that. Definitely recommend talking to folks that you know that have purchased a home, your family and friends. Ask them what their lender experience is like, and if they would recommend their lenders. That's definitely a way to go. When you
Thank
take
you.
a HUD when you take a HUD certified course for sign up for home buyer counseling, they can also point you in certain directions. And again, each of our developers will likely have, most do, I think all do, their own preferred lenders. So, if, for example, there's a community you're interested in, like the Acres Home community, you can call the developer and ask them if they have preferred lenders, and then they can put you in contact with those lenders. All right. Does anyone else have any questions they want to go ahead and ask through the mic?
Yeah. I have one more question. Okay.
Okay.
The home. What you call it? What you call it? Lender? Not the lenders. The levers. What's that word? The people. I guess the people that are building the property. How do we go by getting their number?
Okay. So
Or is
yes.
there a sign out there?
Yeah, so that's the developers, and they basically, it's a fancy way of saying they oversee all the construction. They manage all of that. If you,
Oh,
I'm still showing the website. If you go to the website here, the New Homes for Houston website, each of these right here will tell you who the developer is. So, for example, Acres Homes, they'll say the city's partnering with Oracle City Homes. For this one, it will say we're partnering with Mayberry. Um, some we haven't found a developer yet, but here will be Agape. So what you'll do is
thank
just
you.
click on Learn More for the one you're interested in, and then there'll be a link
Thank you.
to the
I
developer
have that
website.
website.
Okay,
Yes, I have
perfect.
that one. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hey, Jeremiah,
Does,
it's Victoria.
yes.
If I could add in one last thing, I've noticed there were some comments about Social Security or disability and different income levels. Also know that with Avenue, if you fall below a certain area median income below poverty level, you can actually qualify to take the class for free. There's no cost. They would just need to call our office and have their income checked first, and they can again take that class for free if they qualify. But it must qualify under below poverty level income.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yes,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm still waiting to hear from the to do the survey. I've left if the information sheets or whatever you fill out since 2 months ago. I actually did it 2, 3 times, and no one has reached out to me.
So if you're talking about the new home buyer interest survey, what happens is you get an automatic email. It may have gone to your spam that says you filled it out. And then based on the development you've chosen, we will email you when there's new information. So for example, the someone asked about Cityscape. We haven't named a developer yet, and we haven't started construction, so we just haven't had new information to share yet. Um, but I know, for example, when this one here, the Acres Home Development, was ready for sale, everyone who signed up for updates about that specific neighborhood did get an email. So depending on which developments you choose in the survey, you may have gotten emails already, or we may just not have anything to communicate just yet.
Okay, so even the old Spanish Trail South Union one is, I didn't notice anything in spam, by the way.
So one of them, this one here, the one of Agape, that one's already started development, and they're selling homes. The Mayberry one, we haven't had updates yet because they just started
Okay,
construction.
cool beans. Thank you.
But they plan on selling homes for the end of the year, and once that happens, we will definitely email everyone to let them know, hey, this development you've chosen is ready for sale now.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions from anyone who would like to unmute themselves?
Yes, I have a question. I was at work and I was trying to see is there any way that I can watch the recording?
Yes, we'll
Like
email
if you
that.
guys can send it to me in an email or something?
We will email it to everyone who registered, probably by Monday, since we're already halfway through Wednesday. But
Okay. Okay,
we will
thank you.
email it direct. We will email it directly to you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Wendy, and I have a question.
Okay.
My question is, I'm sorry, I joined the video chat late. So I'm looking at what you're saying about those home communities that are coming up. For example, if I were to apply on one of the homes that you guys are already accepting applications for, let's say today my credit isn't that good, but by the time you guys start approving or getting those applications in and my credit is at what it's supposed to be at, would that give me a chance to be able to purchase a home in that community? Or when I submit the application, everything has to be already in line?
So the city doesn't look at your credit score, but what will happen is you will need to be able to get a pre-approval letter from a lender. And so your
Oh,
lender,
okay. So I
when
have
you,
to have the
yeah,
pre-approval.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so
Right.
for example,
Pre-approval.
today I have a pre-approval letter, but just because the interest rate that if I were to buy, like, let's say today, I need to either put a big down payment or my interest rate is really high because of my credit. So if for example, I were to put in my application and maybe within a few months from now, I have already fixed my credit and it's time to revisit and you guys have already approved me for one of the homes, then I could lock in at a different rate, correct? Or would the pre-approval then be adjusted through my lender? I don't know if I'm making sense. Sorry.
I think I understand what you're asking. I think you're asking if your pre-approval was X amount and the interest rate was Y, and you worked on your stuff on your disc, as Avenue would say, and the interest rate became lower, either because of the market rate or because the interest rate was lower. Would you need to go through us again, or is that we'll work through your lender? So your lender is going to be the one who dictates the terms of your interest rate on your loan. So yeah, you would need to work
Oh,
with them. Yeah.
okay. And then I see that here, the on the website, you guys have like the household size, and then that's the amount that the person that is applying for the home has to make, correct? Within that income,
Up to that income,
or
correct. Up
up to
to.
that income.
Hmm.
So, for
Yep.
example, in my situation, it's me, me, my spouse, and then our three kids. So we're five household size, and we would either have to make between 80 to 120, no more than 120, 800, I think it is. On yeah, 120, 800. So we can't make that amount, correct?
You can make up to that amount. And as a reminder, you may have jumped in late when we were talking about this.
Yeah.
These numbers are going to go up on June 15th.
Oh,
And
okay.
we'll update the website. So I think this is going to be about 124. Don't quote me on that, but it's
Uh-huh.
going up about $3,000. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's you would earn up to that amount
Okay, so we have to be within that range in order to apply and be able to be approved, correct?
for this particular program. Yes.
Ah, okay, okay. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone? Okay, I see your name is Jay. You have your hand raised. Do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. So my question was piggybacking off of hers a little bit. So in my situation, like she stated, she is a family of 5. I am a family of 3, but I am the only adult. It's myself and 2 minor children. So would I go under the 1-person bracket or the 3-person bracket?
Three person. It's the amount of folks that are going to be moving into that house.
Okay, so it's not the amount of people who are pretty much making the income.
No, so what you'll have to do is you'll have to show everyone's income. If it's your kids and if they're infants, then of course they won't be making income, it'll just be yours. But you can earn up to $100,650 in this example.
Okay, thank you.
I see one more hand raised. Sorry, I'm navigating screens. If you have your hand raised, can you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question? I'm having trouble seeing names right now. Or does anyone have any last questions?
Hey, I jumped in late too. I'm sorry, I'm at work. Is it possible for you to give me that website again?
Yes, so we'll put that in the chat. If Lakeisha can put it in chat, but the website is houstontx.gov/housing/homes with an S /new. And when we send the webinar and slides out, it'll have all these links as well. So if
Beautiful.
yeah.
And one more thing, in relation to the locations, I just came on and you were discussing it has to be certain locations, and the zip code 77095, is that a zip code that is permissible?
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, we're only the way this worked was developers submitted their application to us, and they were the ones that were already building the homes, and they wanted to work with the city to make them more affordable. So the
Sure.
locations are set where they are, but if you aren't living in those locations, you can still apply to buy into them.
Okay, and then is that going to be on the website, like the specific locations? Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
all of them will
perfect.
be on the website.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, we're gonna take one last question because we are over time. I know a lot of y'all are still with us, but before we take that last question, Lakeisha, if you can put into the chat the new home buyer email address. So we do, our entire team monitors the address that Lakeisha is going to put in. This is our email address. So uh, you can ask questions through that. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, we are going to have another webinar on the same program with a different partner, HUD, on June 27th. So this is not your last time to ask questions, but I want to be respectful of my colleagues' times because they gotta grab some lunch too. So that email address for additional questions, and especially this is a great way if you want to ask specifically about your circumstance but don't want to mention specific details about your life. New home buyer at houstontx.gov. Again, that box is monitored by all of us. It's new homebuyer at houstontx.gov. We're going to take one last question and then we're going to wrap up. Who wants to mute themselves and take the last question for today? All right, I guess that was the last question. So thank you, all of you. There was a ton of you on the call. There's a ton of you still with us. We really appreciate you sticking with us through the technical difficulties and staying longer than you might have thought you would have. I know it was a lot of information, but the home buying process is a lot of information. So we hope to see many of you, if not all of you, on June 27th. But if not, thank you, everyone. Please have a great rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the sun that's out today. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a blessed day. All right.